Morning, guys. Let's just wait 5 minutes. So we'll start at 20 past 8. Let's see who joins us. Okay, let's get started. Thanks for joining, everybody. How are you guys doing today? Are you well? This early morning, it's getting colder and colder. At least we only have 1 month left of ADL 1 because we don't do it next semester unless you fail. Cool. So today we're continuing with math literacy, part 2 of 6. Firstly, did anyone have any questions from the previous lecture? Questions about board mass? Did anyone try any of the calculations? So let's follow in the textbook. We're doing pages 340 to 342 of Anderson. Okay, so we're going to get to know a few more mathematical calculations and principles. So before I tell you why they're important, why do you think we need to know how to calculate averages? Because that's the next math concept we're going to learn. Anybody? Let's find out firstly, do you think it's useful to know how to calculate an average? How is it useful, Sia?
I think it's useful to find like or to make sense of data that you collected.
Good, excellent. Very good, Sia. Good. So yes, when we get to data, okay, we need to understand data. We're becoming more technological, large volumes of data, and we need to understand the data that we collect. Great, Sia. So when we consider something, for example, the average number of items sold in a company, the percentage of a study, okay, things like this, we need to understand how we calculate it, the averages, the percentages, etc. So let's get into averages. So averages are used in relation to reading and making sense of data. When data is collected about something and represented numerically, we often want to determine the information that applies across the range of participants or items in a study. So for example, in your studies, you may want to compare your individual assignment mark to the average mark of the entire class. Okay, so you want to know, this is my mark compared to the average. So say, I always do this actually. Say the average was 70% and you got 85%, it means that you did better, okay, than the average of the class, which is great. Okay, so in other contexts, we may want to know the average score obtained by a sports team or the average income earned by people in a particular profession. So yes, when you guys start working, you'll want to know, okay, what is the average salary of a journalist in South Africa? And then you'll do some research and you'll see, okay, it's 250,000 Rand a year, the average. So across the range of all journalists in South Africa, the average would be that amount of money. Okay, so you'll know what you will be eligible to get as a salary. So we need to understand what and how to calculate averages. We are on pages 340 to 342. So the proper mathematical term for the average is called the mean. So when we calculate any average, we say we are calculating the mean. We calculate the mean or average of a set of data by adding all the values in the data set and then dividing the total by the number of values in the data set. So we're going to do the calculation now, but does anyone have any questions in the meantime? All right, so as you know, in your S1 assessment, you have a question about averages, and you can actually just do it right after this. And I just want to tell you guys, if you are doing that question, you're not just going to give the answer, you're going to show your working and how you got that answer, okay, for those marks. Just remember that, okay? So let's say the assignment was completed by a class of 13 students. So you have 56, 76, 89, 34, 64, 62, 70, 68, 55, 61, 40, 64, and 55. So there are 13 values. So how do we calculate the average? We add all of the 13 values together. Okay, we add them up. Then we divide the total by 13, and we would get 61, and that's rounded off. So the average mark for this assignment is therefore 61 out of 100. Okay. I think for ADL 1 across all the campuses, Durban, Arcadia, Sandton, it was 53%. That was the average. Okay. So that's how we calculate the average, add all the values together, and then divide the total by the number of participants. Questions? And then remember, guys, since there's only like 6 of you in the class today, if anybody asks about this question in the assessment, please tell them that they need to show the working. Okay? I say things and then people just don't do it. When I see the assessments, then I get sad. Okay. So what about percentages? Why do you think percentages are necessary or important? Or how can they be useful? How, Shirley? How does it make things easier? Good, excellent, fantastic. You will be more able to understand when you see it as a percentage. So a percentage is a numerical value expressed as a quantity out of 100. So you can say that the percentage is a common fraction with a denominator of 100. So we do not write it as a common fraction. Instead, we write the number with the percent sign, which looks like this, 6%. Percentages are used to express quantities in an easily understandable way, which helps people conceptualize relationships between numbers easily. So for example, it's difficult for us to know whether the fact that 1,345 out of 1,987 students passed. So we're looking at that number and we really don't know. Now, is that a good thing or is it a bad result? A good result or a bad result? We really have no idea. But if we put it into a percentage form, it makes it easier for us to understand. So if we say that 68% of the students passed, the data is easier to understand, and we have to represent the average mark achieved by the class in the students in the example from the section above, i.e. averages, as a percentage. So we would write it as 64 over 100, and that's 61%. Okay, so if you have to represent an amount as a percentage, you must express the number as an amount out of 100. So if you say 235 days out of 365 days, and you wanted to express this as a percentage, you would calculate it as follows. So 235 over 365 times 100. I hope everybody has their calculators. We're going to do some exercises today. Times 100, and you would get 64.38, and rounded off, that would be 64%. So remember, if it's below 5, we do it to the number that's there, which is 64. If it's above 5, it's going to be 65%. Okay, the last 2 digits. So you would then say that you spend 64% of your time working per year. Any questions? Okay. So they make it a little bit more complicated here than it is, but I will explain it. So to work out a percentage of an amount, it's therefore the same as working out a fraction of an amount. Okay, so example 30 of 90 is, example 30% of 90 is the same as 30 over 100 of 90. You therefore need to find out exactly how much is 30 hundredths of 90. This means you would divide 90 into 100 parts and take out 30 of those hundredths, and you could write it like this. 30 divided by 90, 30 over 100 times 90. Okay, and your answer would be 27. So you get 27%. Okay. Questions? Okay, so don't get too confused with the way they do it here with the calculator. If you use your calculator, if you have it in front of you, it's really easy. 30, okay, divided by 100, get your answer, times 90, 27, okay? You can even do, which I find is much easier, if you want to calculate, you go 0.3 times 90, and it's going to give you 27. So you should have your calculator with you today to do these exercises, to get some practice. Okay, let's talk more about fractions. Before I talk about fractions, any questions about percentages? Okay, so fractions are parts of a whole. Like percentages, they are used to express quantities in relation to other quantities. The top number of a fraction is called the numerator, and the bottom number is called the denominator. So 1/6 or 1/6 of a whole tells us the whole has been divided into 6 parts. If we added 1/6 6 times, we would have 6/6, which is the whole bar. So we can see from the diagrams below that 3/6 equals 1/2, and these fractions are equivalent fractions because we represent the same amount of parts. Questions? So we use equivalent fractions to compare and order fractions. We can make fractions equivalent by simplifying them or multiplying the numerator and the denominator by the same number. Okay, so we can divide them or multiply them. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, 6 divided by 3 is 2, and then we get half. Questions? So like I said, we can divide or multiply. So here we can multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number to get many other equivalent fractions. So 3 times 5, 6 times 5 is 15 over 30. Or 15 divided by 3, 30 divided by 3 is going to give you 5 over 10. Okay, so we can, when we simplify it, we get 5 over 10. Once the fractions have the same denominator, then you can compare them and do calculations with them. So as you can see in the above example, we changed or converted 3 over 6 into a fraction with a denominator of 10. So they both, the numerator and the denominator, takes a denominator of 10. Sorry, the fraction takes a denominator of 10. That's what I mean to say. So here we made it an equivalent fraction. So fractions with denominators of 10 or 100 or 1000 or multiples of 10 can be written as decimal fractions. Okay, so it means that decimal fractions have a denominator of anything that can be multiplied by 10. Or multiples of 10, not multiplied by 10, multiples of 10. Questions? Okay. So let's go to the activity and then we'll do some other exercises that I have. So it's page 346, number 2. Let's calculate the average. So is everybody there? Number 2 on page 10A. So it says calculate the mean, the average number of people who attended an event on a daily basis based on the attendance figures provided below. Round off the average to the unit column. Come on, guys. Please write the answers in the chat. You should have your calculators or even your phone, which has a calculator. Write the answer in the chat. Yes, please. $327. Try again. So a lot of you are not doing it correctly, so try again. Shall we try again? It's not 327. We're still on the first one. So guys, we're doing number 2 of activity 10A, yeah? Calculate the mean. And the answer is not 327. So please don't move on to A, B, C, D when we're still on number 2, the average. Guys, we're doing number 2, calculate the mean. In the last exercise, we did A, B, and C, if you guys didn't attend. And we also did some other exercises. So it says, calculate the mean of the people who attended an event on a daily basis based on the attendance figures provided below. Round off the average to the units column. Great, 536, excellent. Cool. That is the answer that you should get. Okay, so you add up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay, the numbers 456, 567, 289, 912, 455, and then you divide it by 5. And let's do a few more here. So let's do example 1. So calculate the mean. So guys, the first one, example 1, we're going to add it all together. 10 plus 3 plus 5 plus 6 gives me 24, and we divide by 4 because there's 4 items in this list, which will give you the answer of 6. Sia, how did you get 15? Yes, Shadi, we could have rounded off, okay, for that one in the textbook. So guys, this is why we're doing this, because I don't want you to get it wrong in the assessment. It's an easy thing. Oh, okay, all right. Let's do here, example 2. Let's do that one. We're just going to do a few before we go on to the next question, just so you guys get practice with this. So I know that I did it with 8 students or 7 students. When it comes to anything, we need to realize that not all of us will be at the same level, and not all of us will find the same things easy. Cool, it's 15, 14.6 will give us 15. Excellent. Okay, let's do the last one, example number 3. Excellent. 79. Fantastic. We add it all up and we divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Great. Excellent. Fantastic. Cool. Let's go back to the textbook. We're going to do number 3 in activity 10A. So everybody, please look at your textbook. If the capacity of the event's venue was 1,200 guests, express Thursday's attendance figure as a percentage of the maximum capacity of the venue. Round up the answer so that there are no decimal fractions. Excellent, 76%. Okay, good. So let's do, so guys, if you didn't get 76%, okay, you would put 912, that's the total of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay, and then we divide that by the capacity, which is 1,200. We get 0.76, and then we times that by 100, and we get 76%. Any questions? Okay, so let's do some more exercises here. Let's do the first one, 20% of 40. Okay, so Shelley, don't move on. Let's finish it first. I know, like, let's wait for others. Okay, cool. It's 8. So to make it easier, you can just go 0,2 times 40 and you get 8. Let's go to B. That's easy. Good, it's 9. Okay, let's talk about that. So 90% of 10, it's 9. It's because that's easy. It's a multiple of 10, so it's a little bit easy. Okay, 30% of 30. Excellent. It's 9. Very good. Let's see. 50% here, right at the bottom. 50% of 98. And then that was, I think these are quite simple. 20% of 45. Cool, excellent. Guys, let's go into the second meeting. We won't spend too much time there. We are almost done, but just in case you have any questions or anything else. So there's the link for the second meeting. You guys can go there and I will meet you there. So you can go there and I'll see you guys there. Why is no one leaving this meeting? Okay, cool. Let's go back to the textbook. Okay, let's do number 5. So what is the ratio of people in attendance on Monday compared to Thursday? Explain the ratio in words. Number 5. Yes, it's 1:2. Okay, so it's half. So it means that for every person that attended the event on Monday, 2 people attended on Thursday. Okay, and that is a ratio. Questions? Okay. Does anyone have any questions about the assessment that you want to raise with me? And anything so far about math literacy, board maths? Let me know. Now is your opportunity. Instead of leaving early, we can discuss some things. Questions? No? Is everyone okay with everything so far? So I'm not sure when the results will come out. It's going to come out in the next few weeks for the first assessment. So if you did not pass the first assessment, you need to appeal to write the supplementary assessment, and you need to pay 250 Rand to write the supplementary assessment. I'm not sure how many people failed, but if you got less than 50, it's a fail. And yes, I did fail people when I was marking. Okay, so how did we get that? How did we get to that ratio? So we divided, yeah. So 456 divided by 912, it's equal to 0.5, which is half. So it's 1:2. Yeah, so as I was saying, guys, if you know anyone that's not here, because many people don't come to the lecture, please tell them that for the supplementary exam or supplementary assessment, they need to pay the fee, okay, and then they will get the opportunity to complete the assessment. It's going to be due, I think, on the 20th of May. May is going to be a very difficult month for me because I'm at WITS, okay? So yeah, just keep that in mind for May. I may not have everything together in May, but I'm going to try my best because WITS is really, really stressful. Okay, so just let them know about that. And then I think I'll talk about the supplementary in the next class next week when we are on campus. Okay, any questions? Of course, there were people that failed. A lot of people actually failed. And I don't know why. I actually just, the thing is, I passed a lot of people that I would have failed in the second year, just so everybody knows. Because people were not putting quotation marks where they took it directly from sources. And I think that was the main thing. But I didn't apply that measure in the first year. So I was very, very lenient when I was marking, by the way. Very lenient. So yeah, guys, remember that if you're taking anything from outside, which is not your own words, you need to put it in quotation marks. So remember, we spoke about this. We said that if it's 3 or 4 words, it needs to be in quotation marks. Okay, so remember that, unless it's paraphrased, which is in your own words. But if it looks exactly like the direct quote, you just change the synonyms, that's not paraphrasing. So, but see, yeah, even despite the fact that I was lenient, people still failed. And this is what I'm saying. And I don't know why. So I did speak to some other students in the other class, and they told me that they were just lazy. And yes, it can be true. Okay, sometimes you do know how to do things, you know how an essay should be structured, etc. But you're just kind of lazy. Okay, so remember that especially in the first question, guys, we were not looking for just the points. You were supposed to make it in like persuasive in an essay structure style. Okay, so you were not supposed to just list it. A lot of people just list it. You were supposed to persuade them. Why should you do this? You're going to increase your marks. You're going to do well. Come on, do it. It's great for you. You'll be the best student in Boston Media House if you use this reading strategy. Okay, so we needed to use those kind of words, etc., etc. Also, a lot of people did not research the third question. They just took it, guys. Research and planning, that's what I got most, like research and planning, writing your essay. No, guys, there's certain steps and you needed to do research about the third question. And then in the second question, what I found was, I did speak about this before, people would just kind of like, either they were writing their own words, so everything was their own words, or they were just copying and pasting evidence from the internet. But that's not what we spoke about in the class of how to create an essay structure. We said we need the thesis statement in the introduction, we need the topic sentence for each paragraph, we need evidence, and then our own thoughts or opinions. And then, of course, that doesn't apply to every single essay structure. Yes, because I want you guys to get it right. So please, guys, look at what an informative essay or speech is. Look at what you're supposed to include in an informative speech or essay. Is it different from an argumentative speech or essay? Etc., etc., etc. If it's your own words, yes, you don't need to quote. You don't need those quotation marks. You don't need to reference. Okay, any questions? Also remember, it's minus 10% if you don't sign that plagiarism declaration. You need to put a title for every single essay or speech that you do. You're not just going to write question 1. You need a title. People lost marks just for not adding a title. You need to have a creative, interesting title. A lot of people, for the second question, they just basically put effects of virtual learning on students' performance. And we said in the brief, do not put that title. Okay, so also I want to stress to you, have a look at that brief and the marking criteria. That's how we mark. Nobody was looking at that marking criteria when they were writing their assessment. Remember, I told you guys that all of the second year students, like 99% of them, failed the first assessment. Okay, so I'm telling you now, quotation marks. Okay, so remember the Harvard method, right? They have different ways of doing things with the brackets, okay, and also with the way you reference from a website, etc. There's many variations, but because there are many variations, you need to have some consistency. Like if you're only putting the date in brackets, you put only the date in brackets throughout. Okay, so maintain consistency with the Harvard method. And I think referencing was one of the most difficult aspects of the assignment. Questions? Cool. All right, guys, we'll leave it at that for today. We will see each other next week on campus. And we will be discussing decimals, rounding off numbers, and ratios. Until then, you should consider how we could use decimal fractions in financial data. Cool. So thanks for joining, those of you who did join, and we will see each other next week, Tuesday. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye. My pleasure. Thanks, Eddie.